and I want to welcome you to my Finding Lost Civilization series. Now, this series is dedicated to taking a journey into our past and visiting ancient sites that time has long forgotten. Today, we're going to trek in the California Sierras, near the Lake Tahoe region, and we're going to visit what's called a lithic site. Now, you might ask yourself, well, what does lithic mean? Lithic is the Greek word lithos, and it means stone. Now, these lithic scatter sites, from an archaeological perspective, are very important because they provide us a window into our past. These are areas where ancient man once worked with stone to develop and make the implements of his everyday life. So this will be an exciting journey. Let us visit this fabulous lithic site here in the Lake Tahoe region. Friends, before us I have several tools made by ancient man, and above these tools is a stone slate. And the reason I'm showing you this stone slate is to give you an example of how tools were actually developed from stone. Now, many of us believe that if you hit a stone, it breaks in this manner. In other words, what we see here is a vertical break. But what ancient man actually found out, that depending on the pressure or the point that you hit a stone could actually break in somewhat of a horizontal fashion. In other words, you could flake pieces off the stone. Well, friends, one of the fantastic things about Stone Age tools is trying to figure out how they worked. Now, this Stone Age tool was found in North Africa. It's several hundreds of thousands of years old. And as I held the stone and trying to figure out how it was worked, how it was used, all of a sudden I felt a place right here where my thumb lies. There is a notch right over here, and if you look at it real close, you can actually see it's got a darker patina. The oil from man's skin has been here for thousands of years. Well, anyways, as I continued to hold the rock, all of a sudden I felt every place where my finger was notched out by ancient man so it fit the hand perfectly. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? This is a cutting tool. Well, as I continued to play with the stone in my hand, trying to figure out more utility for the stone, keeping my thumb right here, I found that right over here was another notch. And this is how this implement was used, to cut this way or to cut this way. This is really fantastic to behold. I'll tell you, this is the one thing I love about these tools, trying to figure out how they work. And invariably, in every case, there will be a place set aside for the human hand to work the tool. Now, this here is very interesting. Look at this. As soon as I saw it, I go, well, it looks like a needle, a knife. Maybe this is an ancient knife. And so, again, right over here, I felt a thumb hold. And again, I grabbed this, and look at this. Every place where my finger lies fits there perfectly. It's grooved in the stone. You can see it. Well, I also turned it around several more times, and then found out, look, again, just like the other stone, here is another notch. So this could have been used at several different angles, so to speak, this way or this way. So this is probably some type of knife or some type of drill used by ancient man. Well, friends, this piece right here is one of my favorites. When I first found it, I said, what the heck is this? Now, I saw the formed sharp edge right over here. So immediately I thought, this is some kind of cutting tool. As I kept turning it, finally it came to rest just like this. And I said, my goodness, look at this. There's a groove over here to fit the web of the hand. And then all of a sudden, look at this, my friends. This fits the hand perfectly. Look at the shape. This is a kitchen knife. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you what, this piece is beautiful. And as I said, it's one of my favorites. Once it fit the hand, I'll tell you what, I knew what it was right away. Can you tell? Can you see that it's a kitchen knife, no different than a type that you would use today at home? I'll tell you what, if you were ever in a survival situation, these ancient tools could still be used today and maybe save your life. Well, friends, let's take a closer look at the earth below our feet. Right over here is what I would call a lithic scatter. Lithic meaning this worked rock here or stone. Look at these black stones over here. This is the basalt stone that was worked by the ancients. Look at this piece over here. This has the beginnings of a potential arrowhead. Now, you have to remember that every effort to make an object wasn't always successful. And so oftentimes you'll find representations of arrowheads or potential spearheads. Now the thing that happened is they would take a large basalt rock and then take a stone that was harder than a basalt rock and strike it so that it would break away. Look at this over here. This rock right here might in fact be what's called a hammerstone. It was held this way, and then the basalt rock would be hit at an angle so that a piece would split away, and then it was shaped into a finer item beyond the first rough cut. This stone, in fact, might have been used hundreds and thousands of years ago to shape or form a basalt spearhead, a basalt arrowhead, or another object that was used for daily life. And so these are some of the signs that you can look at and tell that an ancient once sat here and worked a piece of basalt rock into an object that was used for their daily life. Again, this has the appearance of the beginnings of an arrowhead. Well, let's continue our journey and see what else we can find. Friends, one of the interesting things about this site is that it contains stones or rocks from other locations that aren't native to this area. Let me show you this stone right here. I picked it up off the ground, but it was right here. Look at this. It has an oily feel to it. My sensing is that this is some form of jade imported here, not from this area. Not exactly sure what type, and it's only speculation on my part. But I was at a jade festival just this weekend, and one of the characteristics of this type of jade is that it has a smooth and oily feel to it. Very different from other types of rocks. But look at this. You can see right over here, the lithic scatter right over here. Look at this. These have been shaped. Look at these over here. Oh my goodness. Oh God. Look at this. Friends, let's take a... I can't believe it. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is a arrowhead, or maybe it's a small spear point. Look, right over here you could see. Right, let me lay it down over here. Look at this. Right over here you can see this is where the point was, right over here. And look at this long shaft. I'm assuming this was to a small spear, a small fishing spear. What a beautiful find. Oh my goodness, this is really great. Friends, as we follow this dirt road, let me show you something very interesting. You can see the ground before us is somewhat brown, and it's starting to turn darker and darker until we get to the point where it's almost a very dark brown or black. Now this area is a good indication that at one time the ancients used this as possibly or potentially as a refuge site. And the reason the earth is a darker form is because the remnants of their everyday life, foodstuff, would be thrown here, buried here, so to speak. And this created a lot of deposits, nutrients for the soil, which turned it this dark color. Friends, let me show you again what a worked basalt rock looks like. For example, right here you can see the natural configuration of the stones right here. But let me show you this piece right over here. Look at this over here. You can see the rough edges. In other words, there was efforts right over here. This whole stone, which was round at one time, has been cleaved, okay? Here's the rough edge right here. Here's the natural edge. And here's where the stone was split off to form or to make tools that the ancients used at one time. So again, let me show you. This is the natural configuration of the stone. And again, here's one that has been worked. And you can see where it's been cleaved off, so to speak, for a working section. Well, friends, this is a very interesting piece of basalt rock that has been worked. If you look at it, it almost looks like a large tooth. Now look at this ridge over here. And let me turn this over here. And again, you can see the flat face over here. Again, it looks like some type of tooth. And you can see right over here is an area where it broke off. Now, one of the ways that you can tell whether a stone has been worked, let me show you over here. If you look at the ridge right here, it has somewhat of an S pattern. And right over here, you can see right over here is where the rock was hit. This is where what they call it was notched. And when you look at them real closely like here, they have somewhat of an S pattern right here, which is an indication that the rock here, this piece of basalt, has been worked. Let me show you this side here. Again, the same S characteristics. If you take a look, here we go, follow my finger. This shows you where the stone has been worked. This is really an interesting piece. You know, if you held it with both hands over here, you could use it as some kind of digging implement, so to speak. Look at this, it's very sharp over here. So this is, it's hard to say if this was a tool, but definitely this is a basalt rock here that has been worked by the ancients. This piece here could be thousands of years old. As I told you before, this is a very unusual piece. What this is a hand tool for farming. It's been shaped. You can see the ridge right over here, and here are the sharp ends. If you look closely, you can see that it's been shaped to a sharp point right here on both sides. If you look at it, it looks like a giant shark tooth. But here's how it was used. You grabbed it like this, right here. It fits the palm of the hand. And right here, and you went into the ground like this. This is a farming implement. It was specifically shaped. Look at this. I'll tell you what, I'm as excited as if I found a gold nugget in the 49er era. This is really a joy to share with you.